Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm glad you're here today. We're about to explore an important topic, choosing a wife and what you should really look for. This presentation will guide you through key qualities and considerations that can make a meaningful difference. Over the next few minutes, we'll cover what matters most when making this significant decision. So let's get started. Marriage is one of the most profound partnerships a man can enter into. It's not just about love or shared interests. It's about building a life together on a deep foundation. However, many men often overlook the more complex aspects that truly determine long-term compatibility. These include physiological, psychological, and emotional factors that go beyond surface-level attraction or common hobbies. Understanding these deeper elements is crucial because they influence how well two people can grow together over time and find genuine fulfillment. As we explore this theme, I want you to see that successful long-term relationships require more than just initial chemistry. They demand awareness of these foundational factors that sustain and nurture connection over the years. Today, I want to introduce you to Adam Lane Smith, who is an attachment specialist. He's explored a very important topic, sexless marriages. Through his work, he reveals why certain relationship dynamics can seriously impact a man's well-being. It's not just about the relationship itself, but how these patterns can affect emotional health and overall happiness. Smith also offers valuable insights into what to look for in a partner to avoid falling into these harmful scenarios. By understanding these key points, we can better recognize the signs early on and foster healthier, more fulfilling relationships. This ties into the overall theme of our presentation, understanding relationship dynamics and making conscious choices that support emotional well-being. It's about being aware of what can harm us and knowing how to build connections that truly nourish us. Let's talk about the hidden costs of a sexless marriage, especially from a man's perspective. It's important to understand that this issue isn't just about missing physical intimacy. For men, when sexual connection is consistently absent or rejected, it actually triggers stress responses and hormonal changes in the body. When a man is repeatedly rejected by his spouse, cortisol levels, which are associated with stress, tend to rise. This isn't just a temporary feeling. It reflects chronic stress that can have long-term effects. At the same time, bonding hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin, which help foster feelings of affection and emotional protection, tend to shut down. When these hormones decrease, men often feel less affectionate and less emotionally protected. Another key point is testosterone. Its decline can lead to decreased motivation, lower confidence, and reduced physical energy. These hormonal shifts are significant because they don't just cause momentary frustrations. They can rewire a man's nervous system over time. As a result, he might start to associate emotional closeness, sharing feelings, or even simple gestures like hugs, with pain or discomfort. This can lead to emotional withdrawal, making him feel like he's living with a roommate rather than a partner. Understanding these biological and emotional changes highlights how a sexless marriage can deeply impact a man's mental and physical well-being, and why addressing these issues is crucial for restoring connection. On this slide, we're diving into the neurological and hormonal impact of rejection on men. Adam Lane Smith highlights that when men experience repeated rejection, their brains process it similarly to physical pain. This isn't just emotional, it actually causes neurological damage over time. The brain begins to learn to anticipate rejection, which often leads men to withdraw from intimacy and emotional connections. It's a protective mechanism, but it can also make relationships more difficult. On the hormonal level, rejection causes imbalances too. For example, a deficiency in oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, can prevent men from forming close attachments. At the same time, vasopressin dysregulation reduces protective instincts, making men less likely to defend or care for loved ones. Additionally, levels of prolactin and endorphins drop, which can disrupt sleep and hinder emotional recovery. This hormonal imbalance feeds into psychological damage, where men internalize rejection as a sign of personal unworthiness. Over time, this affects their confidence, self-perception, and even their sense of masculine identity. All these factors, neurological damage, hormonal imbalance, and psychological effects, can lead to serious consequences like chronic fatigue, emotional flatness, and dissatisfaction in relationships. And importantly, they're linked to long-term health risks such as insulin resistance and disrupted sleep cycles. Understanding this connection helps us see how rejection impacts men far beyond just the emotional level. Let's talk about emotional starvation beyond just physical sex. Sometimes, women might withhold emotional connection as a way to teach a lesson, but what often happens is that this strategy backfires. It can lead to emotional starvation for men, which is really important to understand. Men naturally bond through sexual intimacy, and when that need is denied, it can cause emotional withdrawal and a decrease in affection. This isn't just about intimacy. It can also lead to resentment and behaviors like scorekeeping, where each partner keeps track of what's fair or unfair. Additionally, men might turn to fantasies as a way to cope, since their neurochemicals like dopamine and serotonin are involved in emotional connection. If this cycle continues unaddressed, it can even lead to long-term contempt, which is very damaging to the relationship. Now, recognizing the warning signs is crucial. Men in sexless marriages often show subtle signals that their nervous system is trying to protect them. These include withdrawing emotionally and physically from their spouse, a decline in non-sexual affection like gifts or compliments, and avoiding intimacy altogether because they anticipate pain or disappointment. You might also notice increased irritability or frustration. These are signs their biochemical needs aren't being met. By recognizing these early signs, both partners can work together to address the underlying issues before resentment turns into contempt. It's all about understanding these signals and responding with compassion and awareness. When choosing a wife, it's important to look for certain qualities that foster a strong, healthy relationship. First, emotional availability is key. You want a woman who is emotionally open and responsive because this helps nurture the attachment system rather than suppress it. When she's emotionally present, it creates a foundation for trust and connection. Next, reciprocal desire really matters. Both partners should feel a mutual sexual and emotional desire. If one person is consistently rebuffing intimacy, it can unintentionally trigger chronic stress in the other, which is something we definitely want to avoid. Respect and appreciation are also crucial. Men, in particular, benefit greatly from verbal and behavioral validation. Respect influences important hormones like testosterone and oxytocin, which are vital for bonding and overall relationship health. Then there's the importance of consistency and safety. Stability, both emotionally and physically, reassures the nervous system, making it easier for intimacy to flourish naturally. When you feel safe and secure, you're more likely to open up and deepen your connection. Finally, shared problem-solving is essential. Couples who work through conflicts together, rather than avoiding or withdrawing, tend to avoid cycles of resentment and emotional shutdown. It's about facing challenges as a team, which keeps the relationship resilient and vibrant. All these qualities collectively support a strong, lasting partnership, aligning with the overall goal of building a healthy, fulfilling relationship. When a man finds himself in a marriage that feels sexless or emotionally distant, it's important to approach the situation with intention and patience. Smith recommends a structured method to rebuild connection and trust. First, focus on rebuilding emotional safety. That means prioritizing non-sexual connection and trust before trying to reintroduce physical intimacy. It's about creating a secure emotional environment. Next, practice non-demand bonding. Engage in rituals like hugging, cuddling, or simply verbal expressions of respect, without any expectations attached. This helps to strengthen your bond naturally and comfortably. Once emotional safety is established, you can co-create sexual intimacy. This involves discussing preferences openly, talk about what feels good, foreplay, desired frequency, and shared enjoyment. The key here is intentionality. Spontaneity alone isn't enough if there are patterns of withdrawal or emotional distance. This approach helps to restore bonding chemicals, which are crucial for emotional connection. It also reinforces masculine confidence and gradually heals the attachment system for both partners. Remember, patience and consistency are essential in this process. When it comes to long-term compatibility, awareness is absolutely crucial. Choosing a wife isn't just about shared hobbies or superficial attraction. It's about digging deeper and assessing qualities like emotional reciprocity, genuine desire, respect, and mutual safety. These aren't just nice-to-haves, they directly impact our neurological, hormonal, and psychological health. A relationship that lacks intimacy or emotional connection isn't just frustrating, it can actually be biochemically harmful. Over time, it can chip away at our sense of identity, undermine confidence, and even diminish our capacity to love fully. That's why taking a mindful approach to selecting a partner is so important. By grounding our choices in attachment science and emotional intelligence, we can build marriages that truly foster intimacy, trust, and lasting fulfillment. Ultimately, understanding these factors helps us create relationships that are not only sustainable, but also enriching. Relationships that support our well-being and help us grow as individuals.